tell me you have Mercury and Gemini in retrograde without telling me.
Alrighty, and we are live.
Hello.
Let me just do a quick
1, 2,
audio
3.
test, see how this sounds, and share the stream with a few people. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you so you can forward it also, okay?
How do I do that?
Yeah, that sounds great. Say something.
How do I do that?
I'm just gonna send it to you and you can send it to people.
Like, is it a Instagram
It's just a
post?
link. No, it's just a link for the stream.
Oh.
If you want to send this to some people or whatnot, you told me some people were interested.
I do have some interested individuals.
So there, I just sent you the link.
I gotta send it to Dennis because he's gonna be.
Awesome. So I just shared it to a couple people. So here we are. We're gonna ASTROCAST. We're gonna talk astrology. Scorpio season.
Yes, my favorite.
Transit, your favorite because you're a Scorpio. You're super Scorpionic, so
well,
definitely your
Scorpio
favorite.
Rising. I'm not a Scorpio Sun. Don't tell people. Don't
Scorpio
misrepresent.
Sun?
Yeah, no, I don't have a Scorpio Sun. I have a Pisces Sun.
You're
I
a
have
Pisces
Scorpio
sun.
Rising.
A Scorpio Rising. So let me take this out. It got mixed up.
But as a kind of mini astrology lesson, the reason that I'm so Scorpionic, despite the fact I have a Pisces Sun in the way, is that Pisces is the least personality sun sign that there is. So it's actually the least influence that you have in a chart. So Pisces suns tend to be overpowered by whatever aspects the other planets are in.
Okay. Cool. But I mean...
So that's why the Scorpio gets that extra oomph.
Yeah, and having Pluto conjunct your ascendant, it makes you very, very Scorpionic, even though you're a Pisces sun.
I have a Pisces stellium.
And where's your moon again?
Gemini.
A Gemini moon, that's right.
I'm toxic.
What degree is your Gemini moon?
18 degrees.
18? Okay, so yeah, the North Node is way past it.
Way past it.
But still, this last year and a half must have been really like connecting with your emotions a lot because the North Node has been in Gemini in some way.
Yeah, it's been rough.
It's been rough. I mean, I always say, rough times in astrology because the energies are intense a lot of times, especially this last few years. It's just been crazy transits all over.
No, I mean, you also are from the generation that has like the solar return from, the Saturn return from hell, because you guys are the Saturn Capricorn generation.
I know. Tell me about it. And I've been experiencing it very, very. It's been rough in a good way. That's what I wanted to say. Like whenever I personally say, oh, it's intense. It's like in a good way because the energies are intense and bad shit can happen.
Your moon sign?
My moon sign is in Libra at 4 degrees.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
And you don't like to avoid I guess cardinal energy.
I do like to avoid problems. Yeah, I'm non-confrontational. I've learned a lot, especially over the last few years.
Well, no, but you're like embracing all this intense energy and I'm here like escape, avoid.
It's because, I mean, I have Pluto in Scorpio in my 4th, so I feel things deeply within myself, so it's intense. Like if life feels very intense for me, even though I have a Libra moon. In the past, I used to want to like avoid trouble and not fight people but I've learned I have to.
Yeah.
I have to stand up for myself, and I really, that Aries really came out over the last few years. So. Shannon,
yes.
You want to introduce yourself a little bit? Because I feel like we're going to be here more times in the future, so maybe some people can get to know you a little bit.
My name is Shannon. I technically don't have any kind of like professional accreditation in astrology whatsoever, but I've basically been obsessed with it since I was 14 years old when I was little. My mom is a Pisces sun just like me, and she used to tell me that I wasn't Pisces enough because she was really the Pisces, and to her I just didn't act like a Pisces, and a bunch of my relatives also used to say that too. And so I got really into it, wondering, well, like, why don't people think I'm a Pisces? But why does it say I'm a Pisces? And it just kind of turned into a whole love affair.
I hear you. Very nice. I mean...
And for the record, I have more planets in Pisces than she does.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Wow. Okay. That's good. Yeah, I'm not a professional astrologer either, but it's just a bug that continues to bite me.
I feel
as
that.
yeah. Very connected to it. So
I wonder, is there like a professional license with a state licensing board for that? Can like
I don't
anybody
think
call themselves
so.
that?
I mean, I consider myself an astrologer, just not a professional astrologer.
Yeah, like I'm a novice.
Exactly. It's just an interest, but
A little more intense than most, but
exactly, more deeply involved. So, studying it, learning it just as a curiosity. But, that's how everything starts. And
yeah, exactly.
I feel nowadays you don't really need to be certified to consider yourself an expert. We've had this conversation before where, we're not experts, but in comparison to the general population, how much knowledge about astrology you have or I may have is greater than most people. So in some way, it does make us experts to some degree. Big quotes. But you're great, especially when it comes to synastry and stuff, which we're going to be talking about a little later.
That's what I've said.
So I'm very happy to have you here.
And I'm happy to be here. I love talking about synastry. I think it's so much fun, and it could be kind of wild, but in a fun way.
Yes. And it interests a lot of people as well. So I'm very excited about this. So Scorpio season. We went into it a few days ago. And how did you feel the shift in energy or?
Honestly, I feel like the aspect I felt the most was the Venus-Neptune square. That was not fun.
Okay, and what day was that?
The 25th.
The 25th, so it was a little...
That was when it was exact. Neptune is a slow-moving planet, so as long as Venus is within that little orb of influence, you might feel that aspect.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit a couple of days ago, where it was like...
It's just a bunch of people confronting me, and it's like, please leave me alone.
And a lot of talk about like drugs and stuff like that.
Oh, that was the fun part of it, is usually when there's like a Venus square Neptune, it's just like... I had all these really interesting conversations with people about like their attitudes towards drugs and like how the attitude towards drugs have changed over generations. And don't judge me, I have a Virgo midheaven. I just love hypochondria type things, and drugs is included.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And let me pull up here the I mean, you have your own notes, but just for me to kind of follow, how do you want to go? Let's go over
like the transits for the rest of Scorpio season.
Yeah.
So the first thing that's gonna happen. Well, today's the 28th, right?
Today is the 28th. Yes.
Yeah. So right now, there's not really anything that's hitting an exact point. There's like little orbs of influence and stuff. But the first aspect that we're gonna have that's gonna be exact is gonna be on Halloween. We're gonna have the Sun in Scorpio squaring Saturn, and so that's like a time to really. It seems strange to say put in the work. But it's like people aren't going to feel their best. Energies are going to be a little low.
Yeah, which is Halloween night, which in comparison to last year's Halloween, I think is going to be a big difference. Because last year's Halloween was like, I think it was around an eclipse.
Was it?
I don't remember exactly, but there was a lot of like...
there was more stuff going on.
Uranus influence, so it was like a very electric weekend.
Yeah.
For sure, I remember it because I went to like a Halloween party and then we went drumming on the streets and it was like a lot of energy.
But I also feel like Scorpio season is going to be crazy for the next like however long Uranus lasts, and
yeah, it's going to be intense.
Because it's going to be opposing.
And there's a lot of strong aspects this month. We're gonna go over some of them.
I'm sorry for my friends that have a lot of fixed and cardinal signs. It's not easy to be you, and my heart goes out to you. Especially in the late degrees, there's a lot of, and also at 7 degrees. Saturn and squares everything at 7 degrees this month, and 12 degrees is another big one. That's when all the Uranus oppositions this month are at 12 degrees. So if you have any kind of like Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio in either 12 or 7 degrees, you might feel this influence a little bit stronger. If you're within that orb of influence, I would say.
And what's the influence?
So that's like so there's like an orb of influence. So in astrology, we tend to think, well, oh, you're a Pisces, you must get along with Scorpio and Cancer because those are the signs that make a trine at 120 degrees. But it's really more math. So like for example, the signs have to be within like for it to be a sextile, it has to be 60 degrees. So for it to count as but the problem is that like. For example, my sun signs at 1 degree Pisces. That means that I can only exactly sextile 1 degree of Capricorn and Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
But that, there's you need more options. If not, like, then you would never feel anything. You get me? There would never
Yeah.
be real contacts would be very rare. That's why sometimes, things will be more significant for other people based on in astrology. It's based on the degree, and so
the closer the degree to your actual natal placements, the stronger you feel.
Exactly.
The
so, but also in synastry, anytime like any kind of contact between the planets that's within the aspects which are used to make contact, what those do is. So astrologers debate. It's somewhere between. Some people will say it's as high as 10, and others will say 5.
Yeah, I like the closer orbs. I like the closer orbs. I feel like 10 degrees. I mean, if it's within the same decan, and depends on the planets also, in my consideration, you might feel it more. But like, for example,
like slow planets,
the moon, like slower planets, it needs to, I'm farther away. I feel like the closer the orb, the more intense, like the moon, I could go up to 10 degrees because it moves really fast and it's really close to us.
But
so talking about Halloween, this Halloween day, there's gonna be a sun square Saturn from Scorpio to Aquarius. So
that would mean that wherever Scorpio is in your natal chart would be squaring with wherever Saturn is in your natal chart. So like, for example, if you were a Scorpio rising, that would be your first house becoming at odds with your 4th house, which has to do with like your family and your home.
Yeah, and Saturn being there is like some sort of like restriction or boundary, maybe even confrontation with authority figures.
Or like a parent or something.
Yeah, and like it being in Aquarius, like it could feel like maybe a lot of people might spend Halloween by themselves in their fields, or it's like very edgy sort of energy for this Halloween. I consider, let me look at here.
Yeah, and aspects to Saturn are particularly strong because Saturn actually, it's its domicile. So in astrology, when planets have signs that they prefer to others, and those are usually the ones that they rule, or those that they vibrate the best, which is just their exaltation. So Saturn's domiciles are Aquarius and Capricorn. So right now it's in its domicile. So Saturn is really putting in that work.
Saturn is really felt right now. It's let me see here. So the exact transit happens on the 30th actually.
Does it? Oh.
Yeah, because I guess 30th into the 31st, but it's more late night.
I'm inclined to believe that I made a mistake.
No, I mean it's fine. I mean I'm looking at it right here right now. I just pulled it for that day. Yeah, on the 31st, the sun's already at 8 degrees. So it's probably going to be felt more on like Saturday night.
Yeah.
That restriction and that edginess. That's when it's going to peak after that. And at the same time, Mars is going into Scorpio. Yeah, so it's going to be felt a lot stronger, that Scorpio energy of like intensity and like deep emotion. And
Mars loves to be in Scorpio. That's its domicile as well.
Yes, so it's going to be very strong energy.
So
and
my
like
Scorpio friends are
some power dynamics might be involved as well. That's why that edginess of like...
Well...
it's
like you bring assertion to like where you're going, depending on like the how. I thought you meant the ingress of Mars into.
Scorpio. Combined with the square between the Sun and Saturn, it's like even though Saturn is very strong placement in Aquarius, having Mars going to Scorpio around the time of the square, it's gonna like balance things out in a little bit, but it's still like edgy energy. It's fixed square. So it's like a lot of hard-headedness or like...
Stubborn personality.
Yeah, stubborn in like whatever you feel very connected to emotionally, perhaps. So it's going to be a little edgy. It's going to be an edgy Halloween. I'm thinking also because of the square, like a lot of like edgy type of customs, like people dressed up and I don't know what it could be, but like... like edgy futuristic customs and things like that. I wonder what people,
like dressing up as?
Yeah,
I'm not that big on Halloween.
Me either. I'm dressing up and stuff. Like the most I would probably do is like a little headdress and some face paint, look like an Indian, go play some drums. But it's really nice. I mean, I'm glad Scorpio is coming into... I'm glad Mars is coming into Scorpio, even though it's coming into a square. Like Sun square Saturn, it's also like depressive energy.
Yeah.
And when it's in fixed signs, it's like getting depressed about things staying the way they are in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be, squares are rough because they're like very challenging energy to like navigate.
Yeah.
I like to think of aspects as like, the energy, if it's a square, the energy is coming in a 90-degree angle. So to me, squares are the harder energies to like balance out, for things to not like hit the fan, like shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe getting depressed at things being the way they've always been. So I would highly encourage people to like try new things. Like if you've never gone out for Halloween, maybe it'd be a nice time to go out for Halloween and really express that like passionate emotion on whatever it is. Like don't allow the restrictions from Saturn like hold you back from doing things. Like it's Halloween, fucking go have fun.
Yeah.
Don't be depressed. But yeah, it's like sort of like depressive energy for this weekend, or it could be
just heavy. Maybe
just
people are
heavy.
just tired.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily have to be sad.
correct. It's definitely it's gonna be a rough day. I mean, the sun's also gonna be in the moon will ingress in Virgo the day before, like a few hours before that.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a super
my
fun
Virgo
day.
moon friends.
For sure. It's definitely not party energy, but you can always find that within yourself.
Well, maybe it's like cleaning the party. You know what I mean? You're cleaning your house to get ready for Halloween, because Halloween
also,
would probably... No, I would probably not get into Libra by the time it's Halloween. It would still be in Virgo. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be. It will be in Virgo the whole weekend.
2 days, for those that don't know.
Yeah. That's cool. Alrighty, so what else do we have? Oh, actually, let me pull up here the
next thing.
Yeah.
Well, the next one on my list is that Libra Mercury is going to be squaring Capricorn and Pluto. Libra Mercury is going to be trining Aquarius and Jupiter.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
The Mercury in Libra is going to be trining Jupiter in Aquarius.
Yeah, that's going to be November 2nd.
Yes. And that's a great time to enter into some sort of negotiation or contract, or to meet other people.
Okay. Mercury squaring Pluto, that's going to be next Tuesday.
That's a good time for it. That's going to be the next one. And that's going to be that's going to be a time for like intense research. Something that maybe you don't want to know might come up, and you might discover something hidden. That kind of thing is usually what I would say, more towards intense research, but sometimes for some people it's a time, like I want to say the last time Mercury squared Pluto, I think like 3 people or like one was a group chat, but like 2 people texted me to tell me that they found out that their boyfriends cheated on them. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. When was that? Last month?
I don't remember the last time. It was the last time that Mercury and Pluto, so like in October.
Mercury retrograded right on top of the square
so
at 24. Then, so yeah, it's like it's the end. It's the end of the shadow period, and it's the second square. So it's like
everything's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's coming out when it comes to like structure and like power dynamics and stuff like that in relationships.
It would also say it depends on like where it is in your house.
Depends where it is in your house, but it being Libra, Mercury being in Libra, for
like
sure, about like relationship oriented, legal stuff. Like if you've been, for example,
like a good time to enter into a contract.
Yeah, to like close a contract. It's perfect timing, and in this case related to finances. So a lot of people might be closing on financing deals. Maybe you ended up you finally invested in some cryptocurrencies or something that you might have been thinking about for a while. So it's going to be, the beginning of next week is going to be a nice time for that sort of thing, closing contracts, bringing things to an end. And like, yeah, I mean, with Mars having ingressed into Scorpio, for sure there's going to be a lot of relationship dynamic things, like truths like coming out. Power dynamics, truths coming out. And the sun will be closer to that opposition to Uranus. So for sure some fireworks might be happening in the beginning of next week.
The sun opposes Uranus on the 4th of November, the same day as the new moon. I would honestly, to me that just seems like new moons are like about planting seeds and new beginnings. And then I feel like with the sun opposing Uranus, it's like the seeds that are being planted are like the result of like disruptive change, is like how I would like see it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like really rocking the boat and like shifting the rug under your feet.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be something bad. Like, winning the lottery would be disruptive.
For sure. Or like, or like those financing investments. It's funny because right before the new moon in Scorpio, which is usually very tied to finances, it's that square between a direct Mercury coming out of shadow squaring Pluto. So like the decisions happening this weekend and into the beginning of next week will have a major financial influence if it's related to that in the coming month of this new moon, you know?
Yeah, I would definitely, I feel like with new moons it depends on like the houses that are going in to the whole dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. But it will always be, you know, being in Scorpio, regardless on what house it is. Yeah. Generally speaking, it's related to like finances and power dynamics and stuff like that. I really like, it's a new moon on the 4th?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it here. Let me open the chart.
New moon.
Yeah, I mean, I love Moon Uranus transits. I like them.
Why?
Because they're like edgy and shaky. Yeah, like it becomes very interesting. You know, emotionally.
I want to go hide in a bomb shelter.
I mean, that's how you feel?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. Me having the moon on Libra, I mean, it doesn't. It's gonna be in Scorpio, so it's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be my 4th house of like.
Well, it's just gonna be like, hey, well, your 1st and your 7th house are gonna be fighting for the entire month. They're opposing each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a T-square to this new moon. I mean, I don't have any planets on 11.
Oh no, I'm blessed in the sense that 12 degrees is like nothing in my chart. So.
Actually, I have Mercury at 7 in Taurus, so this new moon is very close to opposing.
Yeah, that's within the 5 orb of the conservative 5 orb of influence, but also it's that Sun Saturn square is gonna hit you particularly, and that Mars Saturn.
I mean, I don't have much. I don't have much of anything at 7 degrees in my.
Well, yeah, but it's still your Mercury. You know, listen to make. You're gonna feed it on your head. Like Mercury's like your thinking, your communication.
The square, you mean?
Yeah. To 7 degrees?
I guess so. We'll see. But this new moon on the 4th, it's not the 4th. The new moon is like late 4th, early 5th, right?
It's like late at night, yeah.
Yeah, like late Tuesday, early Wednesday. It's going to be in Scorpio opposing Uranus. And is there anything else aspecting that? I don't think so.
No, not that day. The next day, though, we have a lot of ingresses because
True.
Mercury will ingress into Scorpio and Venus will ingress into Capricorn. And what that means is that it'll enter. And Venus is going to be there until February. So wherever your Capricorn house is going to get like a little blessing, because usually Venus signifies a blessing. Although with it being in Capricorn, I think you're going to have to work for that blessing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because Capricorn doesn't like to just hand things out.
Yeah, it's hard work and dedication.
It's ruled by Saturn. Like.
Yeah, it's gonna be this Venus ingress into Capricorn. It's gonna be felt very hard on everybody, depending on, you know, obviously what house Capricorn is in your chart. That area of your life will be affected, but it's gonna be very palpable because Venus is slowing down. It's been slowing down for a while now. I don't know what the shadow point is. Do you know what degree the shadow point is?
I do not know.
Let me see if I can find
That's too much math for me. I went to law school because I don't want to do math.
Venus.
Although.
Let's see what
house
degree.
Is your Capricorn house?
6th house.
Oh,
on Placidus, yeah. My Saturn, if you go Placidus, my Saturn is in my 5th, but whole house is my 6th.
For me, it's Placidus, 2nd house, and which was nice because Venus in the 2nd house is its natural home, and that has to do with, you know, monetary blessings. But Venus in the 3rd house is just like your day-to-day, your siblings, and I guess.
On my 6th?
No, I'm saying on 2nd and 3rd, yeah.
Yeah.
You're 6 and...
My 6, so it's like my career, my day-to-day, yeah, which is, you know, it's... And North Node is soon to be in Taurus. I mean, I guess it has a few months left, but definitely a very palpable shift and a lot of transformation also because Pluto is in Capricorn, and I believe Venus is gonna retrograde right on top of Pluto. So it's gonna be like a lot of transformation when it comes to people's careers, power dynamics, structures. Yeah. So a lot of things are gonna change, and with Taurus being in Uranus, I believe it's gonna trine maybe 3 times.
It should, yeah.
It should, for sure. I don't know what the shadow point is, but it should be like 3 times that it trines. So it's again that those Uranus, like electrifying, shifting.
But I would rather have a Uranus aspect in a trine where it's like safe, because you know Uranus is unpredictable, but a trine is safe, so you're safe.
Yeah, yeah.
But when it's with that square and that opposition, that is like.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely you want to you want Uranus transits and trines for sure. So it's gonna be a good few months of Venus being in Capricorn because of those trines to Uranus, and when it hits Pluto, it's like those beneficial trine energies with Uranus will bring like gifts.
No, and a Pluto Venus conjunction is great for sex.
It's great for sex and finances. So I feel like this last few months of the year, not especially, but like this month in particular, because of the new moon being opposed to Uranus in like Scorpio and Taurus, which is like the finance houses. And then the rest of this year with Venus transiting on Capricorn and hitting Pluto, like there's going to be a lot of money movement for everybody.
Yeah.
Like money movement for everybody. So it's definitely time for like investing in things you want to invest your money and your energy into. And
deciding whether
it's a time to choose. Yeah, it's gonna be very unpredictable, but for sure, like people that make choices and make moves I think they will see great rewards.
I mean,
and like after Venus goes direct in the beginning of next year. So it's gonna be great. These are great transits for money aspects.
That is true. You always find a way to make it nice.
What else do we got? So yeah, I mean so the beginning of next week with the new moon, and then on the 5th the two planets going into new signs, it's gonna be like electric days. Like people are gonna feel the shift for sure.
It's gonna be an interesting week, although it's setting up for an even more interesting week.
Okay, so what else do we have?
Well, the next day after all the ingresses is a nice pleasantry. So at the end of all of that, you know, all these ingresses, this new moon, all this electrifying energy, we get a nice break. Venus is going to be trining Mercury. So Capricorn's Venus that we just had ingress is going to be trining the Mercury that just had at 1 degree. So anybody that has their personal planets, or any planet really at 1 degree, that planet's going to get to feel a little extra oomph. Especially if it is one of the signs involved, which is a cardinal or fixed sign. And it's just a great time to unwind and socialize and just get like good news. It's just like
yeah, right. Yeah, it's definitely a good time. It's definitely a nice break. I mean, it's very close to like the new moon, so we're still gonna be feeling the new moon energy. So I feel like it's a nice aspect. Yeah, it's a good aspect to have, because it'll allow us to like understand where things are going in some way, especially at the beginning of this Venus transit in Capricorn, which is gonna last a long time. Having Mercury in Libra is like, okay, I see where things are going. I understand, you know, where my relationships are and stuff in a new moon in Scorpio. So it's very beneficial. It's like a nice. I really like this new moon. It's not, I mean, Uranus opposition can make it like electric and unpredictable like always. But I think in general, it's a really nice new moon. Yeah, definitely relationship and money oriented new moon.
Especially if you're a Scorpio rising.
Especially if you're a Scorpio rising.
Or a Taurus rising.
Or a Taurus rising, or have like...
Or really an Aquarius or Leo rising too, I guess.
Well, those Aquarius and Leos will have it rougher.
That's for money. They'll have it with money though, because it'll be 4th and 10th.
4th and 10th, for
That'll
sure,
be like career.
Well, I'm a Leo rising, so it's good. It's good. I really like this new moon. It's gonna be a nice... I think it's gonna be a nice weekend. I mean, a sextile, new moon. I like Uranus transits. You know, opposition could be very like...
There's a little piece...
surprise obstacles in some way.
There's a little piece of me that likes the traditional astrology simply because it just doesn't recognize Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. And I get they exist, we discovered them, they serve purposes, but they're more like neutral forces because of how long they last in one sign. They mark generations, they don't mark individuals, really.
Yeah, it's not day-to-day, it's more like long-term.
Exactly.
Yeah, so considering that as well... I like it even more, you know, because those unpredictable Uranian obstacles, they're like not necessarily internal, more like external.
Yeah, that's what makes them worse.
But it also gives you room for like navigate them more easily. I think overall it's having that Mercury Venus sextile I think it's really
It's gonna
nice.
help. I mean, Uranus is a higher vibration of Mercury.
Yeah.
And
What else we got?
the next one. So the most intense day in Scorpio season has to be November 10th.
9th and 10th, yeah.
Oh, on those days we
9th,
have...
10th, 11th.
Well, for the Orb of Influence, you mean, or...
Yeah. When does it peak? The Mars
The
square
10th.
Saturn? The 10th? Yeah, so
So
I'm looking at it
things
here.
7 degree. Anyone with 7 degrees and a fixed sign, my heart goes out to you. Like, 100%. It's just such intense. I feel like everyone's feelings are just going to be hurt. I feel like everybody's just going to be, like, so sensitive. Like, you have the moon and Saturn, which is, like, disappointment and frustration. You have Mars squaring Saturn, which is another type of frustration. But then you also kind of have Mercury conjoining Mars, which to me kind of says, like, you have great focus. It's really aggressive. Like, you're just, like, ready to deal with whatever it is that you're frustrated with. But it's like, prepare to be frustrated because it's just so much frustrating energy that day.
The 10th you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Those few days, I mean, it peaks on the 10th, but I'm looking at here that from the 9th to the 12th, Mars is squaring Saturn.
Yeah.
So yeah, rough few days after a nice pleasant new moon. There's a few rough days coming. And
well, that tells you that the new moon isn't that pleasant because it planted this. It sowed the seeds for chaos. It sowed the seeds for chaos because.
I hear you. Yeah, I also see it. I also see it as a big opportunity.
No, there's always growth opportunities.
Exactly, because Mars is that action-oriented energy, and Saturn is your reality, and being in Aquarius is like your future. So it's definitely gonna be rough, but it's gonna be a great opportunity to make moves to change your reality in the future. So very, very powerful new moon going into the rest of the week. It is definitely gonna be rough. Mars square Saturn, it's always like, oh, I got shit to do, but somehow a million things come up.
It's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to go to the mall, and everything is just like the mall's closed. The store you want doesn't have your shoes, and you're just like,
right. Yeah, and at the same time, well, Mercury is gonna be squaring Mars. I mean, conjuncting Mars.
Yeah.
So
that gives like focus.
It gives you focus on your actions.
What you say though, because everyone's gonna be really aggressive and frustrated.
Good thing is Mercury's already out of it'll be in Scorpio already. So also a lot of understanding. Like we're gonna be, even though it might be rough to like do things, take actions, and do the things you want because that's square. You're also gonna be very aware and understanding of okay, what's driving my desires to do these things, and I think it's rough but good energy. Also,
I mean, to me, I kind of see it because Scorpio. I mean, most of the time, like Scorpio, there's a reason it rules the house of fear. Kind of just, it's kind of like that. You have no option at this point, kind of a deal.
Yeah, kind of like you gotta do the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
kind of like
and being aware that one has to do the thing.
Yeah.
Because of the conjunction with Mercury.
And then the 12th, we get a little bit of a break because the sun will start trining Neptune. And that is actually a great time for manifesting. So putting what you want out there, actually. It's also heightened creativity. So it's just like, go out there, express yourself. But also be wary because Neptune either creates confusion or it can illuminate.
Or be very
With a
intuitive.
trine, I would say that it would be more on the lines of illuminate. But it is Neptune. It's a cold planet. They're unpredictable for a reason.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, I'm always saying I like it. It's because I like all transits. I think astrology in general is good.
You're just excited. You're like, this transit is great, even though it's associated with this and that.
Yeah, it's gonna suck, but it's gonna be great.
It's also gonna be. I mean, the same day you also have Mercury opposing Uranus, and that kind of creates like a hectic day. Kind of creates like a.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very mental day. Yeah, yes, because the Sun trining Neptune, and Mercury opposing Uranus. It's like all this stress from the last few days of the Mars square.
It's hectic.
Yeah, it's gonna get to some people in their minds. Even a good thing is that the Sun's trining Neptune, so it's beneficial. But then Mercury opposing Uranus is like there's gonna be very electric conversations, and very very intuitive conversations. I think are gonna happen around the 13th. And depending on what house your planets fall
Fall in.
under. Very nice. Yeah, it's definitely a packed week. Definitely a packed week after the new moon. For sure, it's gonna be an intense week from like or 10 days from like the 4th to the 14th. It's gonna be very action packed, and my schedule's filling up a lot.
Oh, and then the 15th
for November.
is lovely because then there we have the Sun in Scorpio squaring Jupiter and sextiling Pluto at the same time, pretty much.
Yeah, that's gonna be intense as well. Wow, this month is like, you know, Scorpio season would have to.
It has to be intense if it's all Scorpio season.
Yeah, but for the last few years, we haven't really had that many crazy transits during Scorpio season. No, I mean, I can't recall right now, but I feel like we haven't had a very strong Scorpio season the last few years. You know, because.
Well, no, none of the slow planets have been really in a in a fixed sign, really.
In fixed signs, yeah.
Because it's been quite a while since Saturn has been in Taurus. It's due to come back now in like 5 years-ish. Give or take, don't quote me.
Say that again?
Saturn usually goes with its orb is about 1 to 2 years in a sign, depending on the sign.
Yeah, 2.5 years more or less, give or take.
And so I was saying that like in 5 years, because right now Saturn's about to be in Aquarius, so in like 5 years it should be in Taurus.
More or less, yeah. 5 to 6 years.
So it's been a while since any of the cold planets have been in that. And Uranus is really doing all of this heavy lifting. Although Uranus has been it's been there since 2018, so we've been having some interesting Scorpio seasons for at least 3 years.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, we're like halfway through the.
It's just more interesting
through the Uranus transit.
We're going through that that after the grand conjunction in the beginning of the year where Jupiter and Saturn were both in Aquarius, and we had all this society's going to be better and all that great utopian energy. Now it's kind of like we've got Scorpio season dealing with all of that all those utopian cold planets in Aquarius that are just kind of like.
And it's a 20-year cycle of that utopian
the
Aquarius
grand conjunction
energy.
Those are kind of like, so there was another type of conjunction. It was the Saturn Pluto conjunction the year before, and that's kind of like the world's Saturn return, and kind of like you kind of are testing wherever it is in the house, and I believe it was in the world's 10th house, and that's why like government was so affected and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And COVID was like testing government in the way that it did, but the grand conjunction is kind of like a different kind. It's kind of like a Jupiter return in the sense that it's kind of like
yes
the benefits.
Yeah, I think this Scorpio season, I think this last few months of the calendar year are gonna like change a lot of things that will go towards that utopian great conjunction energy. I think it's a time of transformation for sure when it comes to more collective energy.
And then the next aspect to come is not that fun. It's going to be the Capricorn Venus squaring Chiron in Aries, and that usually brings up like her.
What day is that?
I have it for the 15th.
Okay, I don't see it here on this list, but it's okay. So say that again. What?
Venus Capricorn Venus at 8 degrees squaring Chiron Aries at 8 degrees.
Okay, yeah.
That's like hurt feelings usually.
Yeah, it's gonna trigger some relationship wounds, or like it's gonna trigger some ego wounds with regards to your relationship structures and dynamics.
Things to that effect. Yeah. Although usually when it comes to contact with Chiron is a healer. So
it's the wounded healer. Yeah,
you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I think.
But it'll heal.
Yeah, whenever there's transits with Chiron, it's like triggers for sure, like wounds being triggered, and in this case, it being Venus in Capricorn squaring, it's like, career, goal-oriented, how you feel. There's going to be ego wounds related to your career, to people's careers and structures and goals and, I guess, money in some way. And that's in the 15th. That's after all the craziness of the new moon. So, yeah, it's like this whole month is so tightly connected to, like, people's finances and relationships. It's crazy.
So then the 17th is when Mars opposes Uranus at 12 degrees.
And we also have a Sun sextile Pluto at the same time.
So that creates a strong desire for change.
I hope. Definitely. After all the craziness.
Sun sextile Pluto, that creates a kind of like boost. Like you have the power to enact the change that you want to enact, if you will.
Yeah, it's and then the full moon's coming soon after that.
The 21st, yeah.
Yeah, and but then the
Oh no, the 19th. I'm sorry. Oof.
yeah,
19th.
but before that we have some nice trines.
We have Mercury is going to be trining Neptune. That's a great time for sensitivity and creativity. But please read the fine print.
And Venus is also trining Uranus.
Oh, that's also you and your Uranus aspects.
I love it. I mean, I'm looking at it here. I just gotta love it, especially
Uranus,
like Venus and Moon. It's just Uranus. It just lights life up in a way. It brings it.
Adds chaos.
But I like chaos because it changes things up. It brings an energy of like a very stimulating energy. It's like things are not boring, especially on like trines. Like Uranus, Venus trines on Earth signs. This it's not super
crazy,
sexy per se, but it might bring up some like nice situations.
Like meet a new person.
Yeah, very random encounters with people that could lead to like long-term relationships with Venus being in Capricorn.
Yeah.
Per se. I like that.
Yeah, kind of like Uranus is testing relationships to kind of like see like, hey, do you work? Because usually what happens in transit astrology is that when Uranus makes aspects to the descendant or the ruler of the descendant, usually that if you're in a relationship, that's an indication of divorce or separation of some sort.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get into Synastry soon.
No, that's transits.
Oh, that's transits. I see.
So like you can have the most beautiful Synastry, but you can just kind of maybe you get separated, you get into a fight, or maybe you move to another country for a little while, and then your wife joins you later. That's a separation.
Very true. So just let's make a short stop here at the full moon, because I'm just after going through like all the days and all the transits, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing how the new moon is opposing Uranus. And it's and you have these sextiles with Mercury and Venus, so it brings like a lot of understanding of these new beginnings when it comes to relationships and finances. And then after the new moon, there's like this period of struggle with like Mars squaring Saturn mainly,
and frustration,
and Mercury squaring Saturn. Yeah, so there's like after
you got some bad news and you're frustrated.
Yeah, but then that pushes you to
just make it better,
to make decisions, to make moves, to make things better. And then you have Sun square Jupiter. Sun Jupiter aspects, even though it's a square, I would still consider it a good transit.
Just because it's a benefic.
Because it's a benefic planet,
so
and it's already direct.
Excess, so just be careful not to be too cocky. And honestly, it's just a time for high hopes. Just be mindful, like your spirits are really up. You might say you want to go to every Christmas party under the sun, but you don't. Don't do that.
And around the full moon, with Mars being opposing Uranus, Mars will be in the area of the sky where the new moon happened. So it's like even more like strength to take actions when it comes to relationships and finances, and a lot of surprises. This is a Scorpio season with Uranus being in Taurus. It's like very electric, very shifty energy.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes coming for everybody.
Definitely.
I really like it.
I wish that we could say with more specificity what kind of changes. If it was another type of planet, I feel like you can like better pinpoint.
Yeah. I mean, it would depend on people's on where Scorpio lands on your chart.
Yeah, but what I mean is like even if you have Uranus through all 12 houses, it's unpredictable. It's hard to predict for a reason. It's Uranus.
Okay, so you want to go, since we're stopping here in the full moon, you want to go over like each sign and to see where Scorpio is and in what house?
Sure. So for how do we want to start these?
Let's start with Scorpio since it's Scorpio season.
That's fair. And then I'm sorry for my other sign friends. I have all of you guys in a very convoluted order. It's not sensible at all. I have Mercury and Pisces. I apologize. And in retrograde, I apologize in advance.
So we can agree that this few weeks of November of Scorpio season, we're going around the new moon and the full moon. In general terms, it has to do with the beginning of major changes to finances and relationships. What else, in general terms, what else would you say?
So for Scorpios, it's going to be a lot of emphasis on the first house, which is the house of yourself, your independent, like how you express yourself, how you look, how you act, how you feel. And your seventh house, which is the house of others, your romantic relationships, your one-to-one relationships, your business contacts, your open enemies, which I always love saying that, your open enemies.
And what do you mean by that?
So those are people that you both know each other as an enemy. You don't have any enemies?
I'm sure I do.
Well, if you are not aware of them, then you don't have any open enemies.
Good.
Well, that's what the 12th house is for.
I see.
Those are for your hidden enemies. 7th house is for your open enemies. Those are more fun because those actually challenge you and they... You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be enemy, as in like someone who wants to kill you or something.
No. Enemy can just...
Someone that you butt heads with.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want the best for them and they don't necessarily want the best for you, but you don't want them dead.
I see.
You'll hate watch their stuff or maybe.
So for Scorpio risings...
It's going to be a lot of emphasis on the 1st and the 7th house. So that for Scorpios, and then all of the... Like, for example, when the sun trines Neptune, it's going to be in the 5th house, so it's going to give you a little bit of ease for your relationship. But a lot of the squares are also going to have to do with the 4th house, which is like one's home and how one feels like deep down inside.
So so for Scorpio risings, this November, it's gonna be a lot about yourself and how
you relate to others.
Yeah, and how those unstable relationships in some way are like shifting you on the way you communicate and express yourself with Neptune there. Like you might have some insight.
Or maybe your relationships are being tested because Uranus can serve as sort of like a test. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it's, these people are themselves shifty. It could just be that something shifty happens that shows you, like the time I found out that my ex-boyfriend had a wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Actually, you know what's interesting? I did the horary of the chart and Neptune was in the 10th house, which is like the revelation of secrets.
Look at that.
Yeah. There you go.
Interesting.
Astrology for the win.
Yeah, astrology never lies.
It never lies.
Yeah.
It's always there.
So, and then Saturn, for Scorpio risings, with Saturn being in the 7th house also, there's this tug and pull of like,
Saturn. Saturn's in the 4th house for Scorpio.
Oh, Saturn's in the 4th house. Sorry, yeah. So
that's like restriction.
And those crazy relationship moments around the new moon and the full moon will also be affected by the Saturn being in your 4th house of like your home. And so for Scorpio risings, it's gonna be a rougher couple of weeks. Yeah, I feel like some confrontations and a lot of truth coming out, a lot of maybe dirt coming out for some people. Yeah, it's gonna be for sure intense times for Scorpios relating to oneself, relationships, and your home environment.
All I know is I'm so happy. The aspects to Neptune, the Mercury-Venus sextile, and the full moon are the only thing that actually contacts any of my personal planets.
Nice.
So I kind of get like it's going to be terrible, but not that terrible.
Not super terrible.
I'm sorry for my friends that have 7 and 12 degrees in their charts. I say it again.
Yeah.
My heart really goes out to you, especially if it's in a fixed sign like Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, or Aquarius. My heart goes out to you.
Me too. I gotta admit. Yeah. Okay.
So next one I have on my list is Leo Rising.
Okay, you wanna go
in order? I have them in like a non-sensible order. That's why I have them written down.
Okay, so why don't we go like Sag next? We just go around the wheel.
Let's do it. We'll do Sag next. I just have to find Sag. Okay, Sag. So when the sun's in Scorpio, that's going to be in your 12th house. So with the sun in your 12th house, that's going to be a time to really, hang back, rest, relax, not really hang out with people too much, kind of stick to yourself, which is very un-Sagittarius. Sagittarius, I feel like it's a very social, out there sign, getting to know people, But sometimes, a little rest and relaxation is what's necessary. And I mean, I really feel for those Uranus oppositions because 12th house opposing the 6th just seems like, honestly, I have no idea. That's like expect the unexpected because the 12th house in itself is kind of like a push towards, accepting things you can't control. It's a subconscious. And then...
So
Venus is going to be spending a lot of time in your 2nd house, my Sagittarius rising friends, which is good for your money. It's good for bringing in the moolah and good for work. The trines are going to be to Neptune in the 4th, so your home life is going to be kind of like that benefit to your money in a way. Yes. I would say. And then, and then the squares to the Aquarius planets like Jupiter and Saturn, those are in the 3rd house. The 3rd house has to do with like your neighbors, your siblings, your schooling.
Yeah.
So maybe issues with
direct
siblings
environment and
like
communication.
Your direct environment maybe is not doing what you want it to. And then for my Capricorn Rising friends.
Okay, so Capricorn
Those,
Rising.
we have everything.
We're gonna a little quick through these. Next time we do this, we're
gonna go slow. We're gonna
yeah,
talk
and I'm gonna
about
have
everybody's.
I'm gonna put a little
Yes,
Scorpio.
We're gonna do a little picture, and I promise it'll be a better order. Again, I apologize.
Nah, no need to apologize. Retrograde. I think it's going great, and
Capricorn has the sun in the 11th house, which is kind of, that's an attachment to, that's like the house of good fortune, but like random good fortunes, where like
and like friend circles and stuff.
Yeah, it's like it's money from your superiors is how they describe it. It's kind of like your community, but also your friends, your good fortune from your superiors. And it also themes of hope and trust and confidence as well are associated with the 11th
The Scorpio
house.
will be in the 11th. For Capricorn Rising, the Scorpio is on the 11th.
Yeah, and then it's going to be squaring the second house of money. So maybe you have like some issue with like a greedy friend.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like that. That's kind of like how I kind of picture.
Yeah, and then Taurus will be in the 5th.
Exactly.
Yeah, so for like Capricorn Risings, maybe a lot of like conversations with friends and things like that, and that will like, bring something
Venus
different out of you.
First house, so you're
bring something different out of your
2
self-expression.
months. You're gonna feel nice. You're gonna feel prettier than usual for the next 2 months. Which it's never a bad thing.
Never a bad thing. For Capricorn Risings,
because Venus is gonna be in the first house, and usually Venus in the first house,
it's always really good.
Makes you pleasant, makes you pretty,
more attractive.
It's great for attracting a lover. Terms
and
of
which might be like in your social
you might
circles.
Meet someone,
it might even be like someone that you already know.
Or
with
not.
The sun, or not with the sun.
With
being,
Uranus, are you kidding me?
But definitely for Capricorn Risings, there's gonna be a lot of involvement with friend circles and social places, because also Mars
that
is
11th house influence.
Because Mars is also going into Scorpio, so it's gonna bring a lot of
Mercury, the Sun, and Mars are all in the 11th house.
So definitely for Capricorn Risings, a lot of friends and environments where there's like a lot of people around you for sure.
And then that Uranus is going to be opposing from that 5th house, which is like, it's the self pleasures more than like the community pleasures, if you
and your self-expression.
Exactly. Children, pleasure, sex.
Yeah, that's why I said it might be, those situations around friends and stuff, and with Venus being in your first house, it's like very magnetic time, and also like Capricorn Risings, I feel like something different is gonna come out of them with Uranus in the 5th of that self-expression and love.
No, Uranus is in the 8th. Wait, no. If it's in the second house, well.
11th to the 5th.
My bad. I did bad math. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. If Capricorn Risings have Taurus in the 5th.
Yeah, you're right. No, I did the.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a great time for Capricorns.
It is. Yeah. It's a nice time to be a Capricorn.
Yeah, with Venus trining Uranus.
Considering the year they had last year, they kind of deserve it.
I think so. You're right.
House, they deserve it. You guys,
Venus is gonna come in and just clean all the crap that happened last year.
For Venus was in Capricorn, I think last year too. Yeah, Venus didn't. Mars was the one that had a 6-month stay in Aries. That was so much fun.
It was crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, so
it's gonna be a good month for Capricorn Rising.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice, pleasant. Good opportunities, everything around. It's just pleasant and nice.
Awesome. So.
Good to time.
We got Aquarius next.
Yeah, I apologize to my Aquarius rising friends. Oh, right here, perfect. So for the Aquarius, it's going to be a great time for careers because the Sun, Mercury, and Mars are all in the 10th house. So it's going to be a big time for, making those career moves, really putting yourself out there, working on your public image because you have the Sun there, and that's kind of like an emphasis on the public image.
Mm-hmm.
And, but you also do have Saturn and Jupiter in the first. Which is kind of complicated. The Saturn creates this desire to make a more responsible person, and it kind of matures you in that way. But also with Jupiter, it lightens you. But I would say in this like battle,
Saturn is very strong.
Saturn is winning there, because
sure.
Jupiter is not in domicile in any kind
detriment,
of way.
I think.
And it is.
Yeah. So for Aquarius risings, it's another one of those rougher signs. Especially because Scorpio's in the 10th, so
it's not technically in detriment. It's in detriment in Capricorn.
True, it's definitely not. It doesn't feel comfortable in Aquarius.
But Aquarius it's a sign associated with scarcity and it's a Saturn. It's
winter. It's the height of winter.
Exactly, and Jupiter is a planet of giving and expansion and benefit. So,
but with Saturn, there's not much to give either.
Yeah, that's true. But But it's still good it's just going to push you towards those career moves, though. I
feel. Yeah, definitely for Aquarius risings, very career oriented.
And then that Uranus.
Yeah, and then that instability and those surprises are coming from the home front. Yeah. And from how Aquarius feel about themselves internally.
So I mean, maybe someone is starting on their career or something, and I want to tell them, like, you know, your feelings, they're random and not rational. Maybe you just, you know, work on yourself. You're doing great.
Yes, definitely rougher times for Aquarius risings, but a lot of career opportunity.
Yeah, don't let that imposter system get you. You got all the planets to...
Yeah. Aquarius are having it rough this year because with all those Saturn Uranus squares, which the next one's coming up, the last one.
In November.
I think it's this early December, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has about 7, like maybe 6-7 degrees to go.
Well, yeah. So we have a little while to go. I'm just glad that if it has 6 degrees to go, it's far away from anything I like.
Yeah, well, Uranus is in retrograde, so it's like they're going towards each other.
And then they're gonna go back.
Yeah. My mom's an Aquarius rising, and my mom has Saturn,
in
Jupiter conjunct
in
rising.
Her first house?
Right, conjunct rising.
Wow.
Yeah, so the last year or so for my mom
has not been fun.
It's been definitely very shifty, very, you know, like a lot of what the fuck is going on. Yeah. So yeah, Aquarius risings. My sentiment goes out as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, any fixed signs that if your rising sign is any of the 4 fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Capricorn, Aquarius or Leo. It's on the rougher end of things. I'm a Leo rising. I think Leos have it
the least rough.
The least rough because it's
more, just like a very unnatural place.
Yeah, it's flipped from Aquarius. Yeah, it's more like home related, bringing career changes.
Yeah.
Or the craziness in career.
Changing
the home thing, which is what I'm going through.
Although I'm excited for my Pisces rising. Well, actually, I don't know, my poor Pisces risings. I feel like they, you know, because it's the 9th house and you have all these squares to the 12th house. You have trines with the 1st. I feel like they just want to be left... For
Pisces rising?
Like, I feel like they are going on a journey, but they just want to be left alone, which is actually really funny because I know someone that's a Pisces rising and they're going on vacation with their family, and they're like they're not really looking forward to going on vacation with their family.
I see. So Scorpio's in the 9th for
that person
for Pisces risings.
Yeah.
And you have Neptune on your 5th.
No, Neptune's in the 1st. It's Pisces
rising. Cancer's in the 5th, but there's nothing in Cancer. So for Pisces rising,
it's the 12th because all the Aquarius is in the 12th house. So it's kind of like Saturn creates a person that works better on their own in the 12th house, kind of.
I see. So for Pisces risings, it's more like alone time, kind of, or like wanting to be alone.
And then the 12th house is actually the joy of Saturn. So in like medieval astrology, there are places that certain planets like to be. For example, Venus likes to be in the 5th house. Mars likes to be in the 6th house. They call it the 6th house the joy of Mars because that Martian energy of aggression just really works for that day-to-day activity. It's like, get it done, work. Whereas Saturn is more the joy of Saturn. Think of the 12th house. Think of sacrifice. Saturn is about restriction. How different are sacrifice and restriction really? That's why it's the joy of Saturn.
Yeah, I see.
And so I just kind of feel like it's like this urge to be by yourself, and it's being opposed by you're on a journey, but you want to be by yourself. It's kind of the vibe I get. Or maybe it doesn't have to necessarily be an actual journey. You know, I know probably there's tons of Pisces risings that aren't going on vacation this month or doing anything kind of journey related. That might just be like things related to higher education, maybe religion. Maybe you have like foreigners in your family, or you are a foreigner, or maybe you're going to emigrate. So many things with the 9th house. It's the house of divination. That's actually the house of astrology too.
Yeah. Also, yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be like traveling somewhere, but it just with
like
that opposition to Uranus in your in 3rd for
That's
Pisces
like
rising.
Challenging to your beliefs.
It's like conversations that will like really shatter your beliefs or like really help you change. And because being a new moon there in Scorpio, it's like planting seeds for new beliefs for Pisces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which could be really nice.
That could be nice.
A lot of times, I guess, for introspection and like maybe a nice time for tripping. Maybe Pisces will have the best time tripping.
Maybe. They definitely, they
with
have
Scorpio
the
the 9th
energy
and all
for
that, yeah.
And all that 12th house energy, you have Jupiter and Saturn in the 12th house.
Mm-hmm.
Jupiter in the 12th house is like blessings that it's kind of like, I have that name.
Yeah, like hidden blessings.
Exactly, like you don't even know you're blessed. It's kind of
exactly.
like, you accidentally stepped on a landmine and you got lucky that it didn't feel your weight. That kind of thing, and then someone tells you, you step on a landmine.
I see, very interesting.
That's kind of the best way to describe Jupiter in the 12th.
Yeah. And then for Pisces risings, we also have like I think the Venus-Uranus trine is an important aspect this month, and then for Pisces is from the
well, that maybe
from the 11th.
The 11th to Uranus in the
3rd.
So like a friend.
Yeah. So like community, like for sure a lot of nice communications and conversations with friends and things that I guess will also help you realize things in with regards to your beliefs. I think it's a nice time for going out with friends.
Yeah.
For Pisces risings also. Yeah, and a lot of changes in that also, as well. Very cool. So Aries risings.
Aries rising. For Aries rising, it's gonna feel like, I feel like Aries, they go through everything in a very stereotypical way. So it's going to feel like a very Scorpio month for them, because it's going to bring on themes of very Scorpio things like other people's money or death, anxiety, transformation, all these things that Scorpio is just associated with. Mm-hmm. Also sex.
Yeah, I guess for Aries risings, it's going to be sexually active month.
Hopefully it is a sexually active month and not a month full of debt. Is all I have to say.
And perhaps even a month to like when it comes to like sexual energy, just like random encounters or like, and by random I mean like that Uranian energy of surprise.
Yeah.
So like a surprise date with someone.
Maybe someone accidentally puts it in your butt when you don't want to.
Something like that. I guess that could happen. Yeah, and then the big surprise might be that the person might like it.
Yeah, that would be quite the turn.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
But
especially around the full moon time. Yeah, because around the full moon is when. Let me look at this again. Around the full moon is when the trine is happening, I think. Yeah, right around the full moon. So for Aries, this full moon is gonna be like nicely intense. Yeah, I think it's definitely nice, but it's gonna be a nice break from the week before for sure.
We're at one of our other fixed friends next. We have Taurus rising. So for our
Taurus risings,
friends, it's gonna be a big year for It's gonna be a big year. Wow, big season for your 7th house. So that's gonna be you're gonna feel triggered by other people more than like things are gonna affect you personally. It's going to be other people that are going to be creating these like Uranian lessons. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's going to, more so than other signs, it's going to come in the form of another person. I would say. Yeah, for Taurus rising is a lot of emphasis on other people. Yeah. Yeah, and the emotional connection to other people, I guess. Very intense, It's not a bad time for career friends though, because these aspects are hitting the 10th house. So this intensity is kind of just bettering you for that career move also. Aquarius and Taurus, making those career moves. Scorpio, not so much. Leo, not so much. We're dealing with the exact opposite. Yeah. So for Taurus rising, Taurus, that would put Capricorn in your 9th. Yes. So having like with that Venus, Taurus Mercury in the 7th. So maybe it's like a person bringing. Yeah, it might be nice. Yeah. I kind of picture that as like meeting, like the hottest person ever, and they're foreign from another country. They have an accent, and you're just like all into it. I see. That's how I feel like. Mm-hmm, with that 9th house touch is what that's the vibe I get. I would say. And then, so what else do we have? And then you also have the beneficial trines from the 11th house, which is, your friends are helping you out. You have your community's there for you. Yeah. More so. For sure, for Taurus risings, a lot of emphasis on relationships and taking action with regards to relationships. Maybe meeting a lot of people, or and with Uranus in the 1st. It's not a personal planet, so it doesn't really affect your personality so much. It can change your appearance. Like I had in my. That's what I was gonna say. So maybe might meet someone in Halloween.
dressed up. You might meet someone dressed up, something like similar to you, or I think Halloween might be a nice time for
maybe
Taurus
it's just
risings.
like a great time to develop, like test your. I feel like in the solar return, I had Uranus in the first house, and it helped develop good eating habits because I lost like 10 pounds and then I gained 10 pounds. So it's kind of like my appearance definitely changed a lot with Uranus in the first house that last year. I gained and lost 10 pounds a couple of times.
Yeah. So from the fixed signs, I guess Taurus rising is the least like craziness. Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's crazy. It's craziness focused on other people, though. It's other people's craziness.
It's craziness coming from other people.
Yeah, like you don't have. It's not you that It's not your boyfriend that you're finding out is cheating on you. It's like you're dealing with your friend that's coming to you and telling you that your boyfriend's cheating on you.
I see. Yeah.
Like your Scorpio rising.
And then that brings erratic.
Erraticness
energy
to your life
of you
people.
Of your personality.
Or maybe not a friend because it's a 7th house, but something like that. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe your business partner falls through because something. There's so many things.
True as well, variables. With Aquarius.
I feel like we could sit here for 2 hours and it would still.
Alrighty, so let's move on. Gemini risings.
So Gemini is going to have a lot of focus in the 6th house, which is the house of your day-to-day, your health, your work. It's more like your day-to-day work than like the aspirations of your career. Because it's the house of service. It's also maybe you have some things going on with your pets. Because the 6th house also rules pets. Assuming your pet is smaller than a goat, though. Because animals larger than a goat are ruled by the 12th house.
You told me that.
I love that fact. It's because of the nature of the service animal, I imagine. Because you have the beast of burden versus like your pet doesn't really. It's more a companion. It doesn't serve you as much. Its help is less tangible. It's kind of like Virgo, where it does have those little details. It's like, I dusted the floor for you. I mean, how would I have noticed?
Right. Yes, Virgos. Oh my.
You know better than most with Virgos.
Yeah, it's my dad and my brother are Virgos. Especially my dad is Virgo rising and sun. So yeah, he's very like, oh, I do this for you, and then you don't realize, and he gets upset because you don't realize. And the tiniest detail, you don't realize the tiniest detail he does.
Oh, why don't you know the tiniest detail? That's not nice. Your poor dad.
So what else for Gemini risings?
So it's gonna be, you're gonna have Venus in the 8th house, which is great for sex also. Like Aries, Venus in the 8th house.
Okay,
it could also be a rich partner. Sometimes Venus in the 8th is like you're getting other people's money. Maybe by inheritance. Maybe you got a sugar daddy.
But it won't be as easy because it's in Capricorn.
That's true.
So it's like you gotta work on your relationship. You gotta work on your. I would say like working as a Gemini rising, working on your relationships would bring benefits.
The house of other people's money, and for other people's money, you have to work. You have to work for your own money and other people's money.
And that's trining your 12. So I don't know for Gemini risings. I don't see it so much as money related.
No. I'm just saying, like, I'm just making that as the joke because it's like you have a Gemini rising, your 8th house is in Capricorn, so other people's money is something you have to work for, which sucks.
I get you now. Yeah. And then so what other transits? So we haven't really we've gone through the signs, but we haven't really spoken about the
synastry. Yeah.
The squares to Uranus, to
Saturn and Jupiter.
Saturn and the Sun. Yeah. I haven't had them in mind too much.
The square is 6 to 9.
6 to 9.
In Gemini rising.
Scorpio's in the 6th?
Yes.
I see. That's why you say working for other people's money.
Yeah.
And then Capricorn is on the 8th.
And then it sextiles in the 5th, which is why I think that, that 1 degree, that could be a sugar daddy for them. They might have to work for that sugar daddy. But if you
might have to give it a lot of energy. Like they be on top of that.
It's a needy sugar daddy.
Needy sugar daddy. I like how you put that.
Yeah. Or sugar mama. Let me not discriminate. Equal protection.
But then
there's a lot of stuff.
Uranus in the 12th house. Uranus in the 12th house.
That's a lot of self-destructive energy.
Yeah, so I would say Gemini risings gotta be careful on like their daily lives and their daily routines.
Yeah. Now's a great time to ask yourself: is your daily routine helping you? Are you hurting yourself? Maybe you're a pack-a-day smoker, and now's your time to quit.
For sure.
Because the 6th house is 12, and the 6th house is your health, and the 12th house also rules hospitals.
Yeah, and Scorpio being there, it's intense, and with all those squares to Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn for Gemini risings. I don't have the chart on Gemini risings. It's Aquarius is your 9th. So there's big squares like daily for Gemini risings. Your daily life, your daily habits and routines are gonna be greatly affect like your the expansion of your life on your ninth. It's gonna be rough. For Gemini risings, it's gonna be some rough days. With those squares, especially in like the first week and a half of the month.
Although you know what rising sign I wish I was this month? Cancer rising.
Yeah, nothing's happening for Cancer. So
what do you mean? Everything great is happening for Cancer. With all the
I guess
the
you have
Mars,
Scorpio in your
Mercury
fifth.
in the fifth.
Yeah, you have
Pleasure,
Scorpio in your fifth.
Sex, games of fortune. What do you mean?
And yeah.
It's a great time to be a Cancer
It's
rising.
a great time, yeah, for sure. I guess Cancer is one of the better signs to be this month.
It's a good time for sexual tension too, because that square, it could be, a problem, it could be a blockage, but it could also just be really nice sexual tension. And it's in the 8th house.
Yeah, and you have Venus in your 7th.
Yep.
For the whole month and the whole next few months.
So
next 4 months.
Your relationships are going to feel nice and bloody.
And
I want to be a Cancer rising.
Yeah, I guess Cancer rising is one of the better signs, especially this month.
You guys are having a great month.
Yeah, for Cancers, this month is going to set up the rest of the year when it comes to like relationships and the changes your relationships as a Cancers are going to go through. Excuse me.
We're at your rising sign now. It took us forever.
Leo. So what else do we have for Cancers?
Oh, sorry. No, well, it's just a big emphasis on the 5th house. That Venus Chiron square is going to be the 10th house, so maybe it has something to do with like career issues related to relationships. Maybe you think your partner works too much, something like that.
So for Cancer risings, I'm sorry, Aquarius is
in the 8th house.
In the 8th house.
That's why I was saying the squares. So
the 5th. So the squares are gonna be from the 5th to the 8th.
Yeah. So that creates that tension of.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a time of like testy relationships and love. It's gonna be a time of test of love for Cancer risings.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, it's gonna be a lot of interactions with like love related prospects. Let's say it that way. And at the same time, with the squares to Saturn is going to be testy.
I would definitely say that Venus retrograde through that 7th house is going to be testy.
Yeah, wow, yeah. Cancers have the next few months very love-oriented.
Hold on to your boyfriend's tight. I mean, I feel like I have to hold on to mine tight this month. Maybe put him in a little box and feed him and give him like water and chips to make sure he stays okay.
I don't know, for Cancer risings... Uranus is in the 11th.
So
maybe new love prospects coming from like social environments. Yeah, and also with for sure. Love related tests for Cancer risings.
Yep.
This month and going into the next few months.
And then for Leo rising for the next...
And Leo risings, what?
You're going to have Venus in your 6th house for the next 2 months.
Venus for the next 4 months.
Lots of work. Is it 4 months?
Yeah, it's until like late January.
Oh, I thought it was January 17th.
Or May-January, yeah, like 3-4 months.
It's going to be a little while.
Yeah, so for Leo risings, for sure.
The 4th house.
The 4th house, so your career home, a lot of changes. Career home axis. So yeah, the home environment for Leo risings is going to have a lot of energy. It's going to be a lot of action and changes and understanding with regards to home, and that's going to like affect your career as a Leo rising. You wanna come in? You wanna sit down?
Are you guys still taping?
Yeah, we're live.
No.
You good? Okay.
I'm going home.
Alrighty, have a good one.
What time is it?
It's 7:30. We've been at it for an hour and 15 minutes, and we haven't gotten to Synastry. But we're almost done.
Well, are we gonna hold it? Are we gonna go all the way through Synastry? Do you think?
We're just gonna talk some stuff. Yeah, we don't have to be. I mean, what time we gotta leave?
I had told my boyfriend 7.
At 7?
I would be done by 7.
Okay, well.
Well, it's okay.
Let's go until 8. Let's
go until 8.
Okay, so let's finish the. So yeah, for Leo risings, home.
Home is gonna be a big one.
A big one. A lot of new beginnings when it comes to home, connecting deeply with how you feel about yourself. If you're a Leo rising, you know, your roots, and how that's then gonna affect your career, and how you're seen in social aspect out in the world. And then the squares are gonna be to Aquarius, which is, I should know this because I'm a Leo rising.
The Aquarius, Saturn's in the 6th. Oh wait, no, sorry, I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah, the
7th
squares are
is-
gonna be to the 7th.
Yeah, so definitely.
From the 4th to the 7th. So yeah, for Leo risings, home and relationships and home, and how and that in turn is gonna affect your career. Very nice. So I see, and then the trines to Jupiter are from the 6th to the 10th. So yeah, home and career for Leo risings, and
No,
relationships
for Leo rising, the trine to Jupiter is the 3rd house to the 7th.
to the
Mercury?
3rd house.
Mercury Jupiter trine.
Yeah, but that's like really early in the month.
Yeah.
But then I'm talking about the squares, not the trines.
Oh, you're
I'm
talking.
sorry,
I thought you were
yeah.
talking about the trine. So I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
the
that's not
squares
my
from the
house.
6th to the.
No, yeah, those are.
No, I'm
those-
sorry. The trine I was talking the 6th to Uranus, like Venus to Uranus.
Oh,
The
I was
6th
like,
to the 10th. Yeah, so the daily life of Leo risings are gonna go through a lot of changes in the next few months, and the start of those changes has to do with home environment and relationships.
And then Virgo risings also are going to see a lot of change and emphasis in their daily lives, but in a kind of different way because it's the 3rd house. And so the 3rd house is like your immediate environment, your day to day, your associates, like your people you associate but that you wouldn't really call your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Learning, education,
Yeah.
communication,
Yeah.
technology. Those are all ruled by the 3rd house. So those are going to be heavy themes for our Virgo rising friends. It's also the domicile of Mercury, so it's going to be especially Virgo. It somehow is going to be especially Virgo-esque for them.
So very intense communications, very intense conversations also.
And intense conversations related to work because all these trines and squares are in to the 6th house.
To your day-to-day and your work, for sure. And then that in turn, I think with Venus going through the 5th, it's also gonna be like it's Virgo risings are gonna realize, I guess, or not necessarily realize, but like their self-expression and how they express their love is gonna go through a big shift in the next few months, coming from these conversations that are gonna be happening, I guess, or these intense, the environment, the intensity of the environment. It's gonna lead to Virgo risings to express their love and themselves in different ways over the next few months.
And then finally, we have Libra rising.
And then finally, Libra risings.
And so for Libra risings, it's gonna be a time for money because you're gonna have the Sun, Mercury, and Mars all in the 2nd house. So there's gonna be a lot of focus on like ways to make money, getting money, having money.
Yeah.
Money is gonna be on the mind.
Money for Libra risings.
Money.
Libra risings are having one of the better money access.
Libra and the cardinal signs really. Capricorn.
Yeah, but Libra more because it's Scorpio in the 2nd,
Yeah,
Taurus
that's
on the.
true.
It's like flipped from
They're
Aries.
making their money instead of getting money thrown at them or possibly taken.
Yeah, for sure they're gonna be, and with Mercury and Scorpio going into Mercury and Mars going into Scorpio for Libras, it's like money moves and realizations and like planning, a lot of planning when it comes to like money, financial situations for Libras, which is really amazing.
Yep. My Libra rising friends, I hope you have a great month. It sounds like you're going to.
At home. That was amazing.
Yeah, we did all of them.
That was great. Yeah, we went through the whole wheel. I hope people listening to this got something out of it.
And hopefully they, learned a little something and got a little benefit from what they heard. And
Yeah.
if not,
I think overall it's a great month. I don't know, for some reason I feel like to me it feels more intense Scorpio season than previous years. Even though Uranus has been squaring Scorpio, every year, I feel like with Mars being here, like last year Mars was in
but it was in Aries. What
I guess it was in Aries, but like it's different when it's in Scorpio.
Well,
in the
it's
sense,
still a manifestation of Mars.
Yeah, it's less ego and it's less ego and more like Scorpio energy. Yeah, I feel like because of that, because Mars being in Scorpio with the Sun and Mercury this time around, it feels like a more intense year. Definitely, I think there's going to be a lot of financial things going on and surprises. Yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised of like market crashes or like more transfer of wealth from like the stock market to the cryptocurrency market and things like that. It's going to be a lot of financial movement happening this month, and a lot of relationship stuff. I'm sure sex is gonna be great for a lot of people,
and not so great for others.
And not so great for others. Yeah, but it's always like that, isn't it?
Yeah, always. I mean, everybody sometimes you have a high day, sometimes you have a low.
So talking about sex, let's jump into Synastry a little bit, and it's a nice segue. And so Synastry, as I understand it, is a kind of astrology that is used to read compatibility between people.
Yeah, so Synastry, you can do it for romantic relationships, you can do it for friendships, you could do it with your pets, you could do it with your parents. And you can kind of see the dynamics of the relationship and how it plays out. So, like, you kind of will paint Mercury. I mean, no, not Mercury. I mean, Mercury can be a sexual planet because communication is a part of sex, and your brain is your largest sex organ. But Venus will get a more sexual tone depending on whether you're looking at this from a relationship perspective.
Venus and Mars.
Or, like, yeah, where you're looking at it, if you're comparing yourself to your grandma.
More Mars than Venus.
No,
when it comes
Venus
to sex
too.
Drive.
You know, but, well, it depends on the gender. Mars is the expression of sexuality for women, and Mars is the expression of sexuality for men, and Venus is the expression of sexuality.
Okay,
for
I hadn't looked at it like that before.
Yeah, so normally when you do Synastry, I mean, I'm not
So let's see.
But usually, what you try to do is you have.
We both have it. We both have masculine and feminine.
No, I understand, but what I mean is like you can't say, "Oh, I'm the girl and I'm the boy." That's not really how that works.
I don't know.
So what I mean is because you're supposed to cross compare the woman's Venus to the man's Mars to the woman's Venus.
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to
Venus to Venus, Mars to Mars. Basically, any kind of contact between Mars, Venus, and the Moon are powerful Synastry contacts.
So let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's see. When comparing your chart to someone else, or comparing two people's charts for compatibility. What would you say are the more important transits, or the transits that weigh the most when it comes to compatibility? As I understand it, I mean, personal planets will have a lot to do. So Sun, the Moon, and Mars and Venus, and then the Mercury for communication.
And then Saturn is also, you don't think of Saturn, but Saturn shows you the longevity of a relationship. If you don't have contacts with Saturn, that's poor for the longevity.
Very interesting, yes.
And then you also want to look at Jupiter because it's kind of like your philosophies, and you don't want to have competing philosophies necessarily.
And the expansion and how much,
exactly.
like financial.
And then contacts to different planets mean different things. And also you have to consider contacts to the nodes in Synastry charts can indicate soulmate relationships depending on where the nodes are and stuff like that.
Like the nodes talking to each other.
Like the north nodes, yeah. Like, oh, his north node's on my Venus, stuff like that.
Yes. So everything. So, you know, because I get asked a lot, what's the best sign? What's the sign most compatible to mine? And I always tell people, well, it's not just the sun sign. You know, the sun sign obviously has a lot to do, but in Synastry, I feel it has less weight than in other kinds of astrology. So for people out there listening to this, and you're looking to compare your chart with other people or find what sign is most compatible to you, it's important to understand that all the planets, especially the inner planets, have a lot to do with the compatibility to someone else. So how would you tell someone what to look for?
Okay, so that's kind of a loaded question. So the reason that you can't use sun to sun compatibility is sun to sun sign compatibility, which is like a favorable aspect of the sextile, which is 60 degrees, which I'm going to use Scorpio, for example. Signs of sextile Scorpio are Virgo and Capricorn, and then signs that trine Scorpio are Pisces and Cancer. So those, when you make those number aspects, those are favorable contacts. But they don't necessarily, because sometimes oppositions will create feelings of belonging. If it's like, for example, the rising sign opposes the moon, that could create a feeling of a belonging in a relationship. or even though it doesn't make contact sometimes, like there's just so many aspects to synastry that can show in a relationship.
So what should one look for?
It depends honestly on what a person is looking for out of their relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time. I mean, you've done this and you do this. You like look forward in a way. But I feel like most people that are not so much into astrology, they kind of like stumble into a relationship or become interested in someone that may or may not, because a lot of times attraction and interest can come from like more intense aspects like Mars square Pluto. Yeah. Mars square Pluto is a synastry, like my Mars is squaring my partner's Pluto or vice versa.
It's like a kiss. It's like one of the most intense and horrible aspects.
It's very attracting and magnetic, and it's like very intense and absorbing, but it could lead to like a lot of fights and things like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a show off. I've dated people that have that's been in the synastry chart, and I just 0 out of, if you see Mars square Pluto, I look. At the end of the day, there's like synastry. You can have the worst synastry chart and want to work on your relationship and be together forever and love each other, or you can have the best synastry chart, be bored of each other, cheat on each other, and
yeah. So it's much more than the planets. So
there's like a human factor to it. The planets help. Yeah. They kind of paint a picture, but sun sign compatibility is just like, would I invite you to my barbecue? Like, do we vibe enough to go to a barbecue together? It just kind of creates like that rapport. It's kind of meaningless. You want contacts to Venus. You want contacts to
Mars. Yeah, the sun and the moon. Sun trine moon is like great for like just feeling good with each other.
Exactly. It creates feelings of belonging. Or even sextile creates feelings of belonging.
On even what?
Sextile. 30 degrees.
Oh, sextiles, yeah. But sextiles, as I understand, they take more action. Like trine is just like innate, like natural.
The problem is that, there's like a back and forth, because trines, they have the problem that they could be boring, and then sextile isn't as boring, so those tend to be longer lasting. They're more enduring.
Yeah, more engaging.
Even though there's that little oomph, that little oomph is what makes it more enduring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, but usually.
So in a synastry chart, you want to look at all the planets, at least mainly
from Jupiter up, and then like if they have like a
or down,
planet
like from Sun, like Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury are like the main ones.
And Jupiter.
And Saturn. So you really want to look, when comparing your chart to someone else's, you want to look at all the planets, mainly the internal ones.
And then they kind of like paint themes, because you
and what are your planets are talking to what are the other person's planets.
There's like so many levels to it, because it could also just be like your house focuses. You could have, let's say you have a 5th house stellium and the other person has a 9th house stellium. That will paint a picture into that relationship, because here you have this philosophy-minded person and this pleasure-minded person. They might have, the 9th house and the 5th house trine each other.
Yeah.
Do these people have anything to do with one another? Probably not.
Or maybe it's a good
maybe like
good compatibility, because one person's like very sexual and expressive, and the other person's more like intellectual and like woo woo in the cosmos.
Yeah.
And that might be also.
No, of course. My point is that it's all a matter of what you like. Because some people like sexual tension, and they want that.
Yeah.
Like they don't want things. They like that tension, and they want to fight with their partner and stuff like that. And so they may like that.
So what are some really good aspects to have in a synastry chart that will say, these people are very compatible?
Any of the person's personal planets in your 1st, 5th, 7th, and 8th houses, because those are your relationship houses. Any kind of positive contact between the Moon, Mars, and Mercury. Moon, Mars, and Venus. Sorry. Also Mercury, because Mercury is like the
sun,
least sexy.
Like Moon and the Sun.
The Sun to a less extent, because that's just how you really express yourself. Contacts to the Sun, like for example, let's say you have a relationship where you have a Sun square Saturn. That kind of creates like a battle of egos.
Okay.
Where the Sun has to like learn to. It creates a relationship that will work if they have like periods of like withdrawal. Not from each other necessarily, but.
Like personal
withdrawal from like public view, because remember the Sun is so like
out there.
Yeah, it's big. It's up there. And so my favorite contact that I think is hilarious is Moon opposition Saturn, because it's supposed to be a difficult one, but actually I
a
observe.
long-lasting, a long-term.
It creates longevity,
Yeah.
even though it create like you have this like mature person with this immature person, because you have the emotional immaturity of the moon with the maturity of Saturn.
Yeah, one person becomes like the authority figure,
Exactly.
the emotional authority
and then one
figure.
wants to break free, and you kind of have to create that like in the middle.
Yeah, or like moon aspects with the other person's
Or you know what?
Uranus.
Oh, actually, you just read my mind. Although so negative aspects to Uranus. So Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, I know that they're random celebrities. I'm sorry for using them instead of real people, but they actually have the moon square Uranus.
Okay.
And you know they've had all this sun sign compatibility. She's a Cancer, he's a Pisces. You would have thought it would have worked, but that Uranus,
square.
what happens is that Uranus represents freedom, and that and the moon represents security. So it's kind of like a person that won't commit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Although
any transits between the moon and Uranus for Synastry is never good. Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it could be good in the sense of like it doesn't create longevity. It creates more like it depends on the other aspects too. But like you're saying, one person wants to be free, the other person wants to like lock it down.
It depends on the other aspects, because like for example, also have to consider that Uranus is a generational planet. Like my boyfriend has his Uranus is in Sagittarius, which opposes my moon in Gemini, and so that's supposed to. But I mean, he texted me to see what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So like a lot more.
It's
has
all
to
that
do.
all those planets in that first house, all that Pisces, Scorpio, kind of like cancels it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe we break up tomorrow, and maybe that's what that Taurus descendant's all about. I mean, knock on wood, but but like it's Uranus. It's a generation planet. There's a reason that you don't really necessarily. It's not great for Synastry, but it's not make or break for Synastry.
It's not
Uranus.
make or break. Yeah. Yeah, it's just very distinct transits. Like you really see it and feel it.
Like if it was Venus,
especially with the moon.
Like if you had like problems of like Venus square Saturn, it's like finding difficulty to love each other and stuff like that.
Those are rough ones.
But then you also have to consider, like for example, people's own personal like their own contacts to Venus and Mars in their charts. Like for example, I have Saturn conjunct Venus, which makes it hard to be emotional and expressive, and that will obviously color any kind of Venus Synastry.
Yes, because it's also with your Mars.
Because it's your personality. Because at the end of the day, the chart is just kind of giving you a picture of what the relationship looks like and where there's going to be a focus of energy. But at the end of the day, there's still a human factor to it. People have their traumas, and this is them operating under the best of conditions.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, definitely aspects to look for. Sun trine moons.
My favorite is moon sextile sun, actually.
Moon sextile sun. Okay, you
just
like.
I think it's more quirky. I think it's fun.
I see.
I
could see that. They're both nice, but I could see the sextiles being really nice also. And then like sun
Venus conjunct something.
Venus
I love
conjunct
moon.
yeah.
Like I have so many friends that have Gemini Venuses because I have Gemini moon.
Yeah.
That's a good indication of friendship. Another one is if it's for friendship, and if relationships should, I mean, maybe
all relationships
have like
it
a
doesn't
level
matter.
of friendship. But what happens is when you have ascendant trine Venus, that creates friendship in a relationship.
Ascendant trine Venus.
Yes.
Ascendant trine Venus. Okay. Yes. The sun and Mars relationships, like
Mars is like
also
the
for like very
force
it generates very active relationships.
Yeah, like what happens
like
is
trines
like
and sextiles.
Yeah, like for example, my boyfriend and I have Mars trine Sun, and that just creates like the Mars person is like more interest. Always showing interest. Like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so great. I want to be around you. And the Sun person being the Sun. Oh my gosh, you think I'm pretty and great? Great, I'll let you be around me.
Yeah, and also creates a nice relationship to like do things together, be very active together.
Exactly.
Which you guys do yoga together and all that stuff, so it shows there.
Yeah, exactly. So Synastry, it depends on the relationship. But I also have a bunch of...
Let's go through some of those examples.
I love examples in Dirty Laundry.
So we have some real life examples here of
these are my own personal relationships. I've changed some names for people's privacy. Because
here, let me show this on. Yeah, I'll cover the name. So this is like a Synastry. I don't know how close I can get to this. Let me see.
That's like the aspects That's an aspect table. That's not what the chart looks like. That's just easy for me to like have as a reference. The chart actually paints its own picture because it shows you the houses that things are located in. Because you can have trines.
This might be too bright to focus. I don't think it's gonna focus.
It's okay.
It doesn't look good, but.
But trines are usually favorable.
Okay.
But
so what do we have here? This is your personal relationship.
This is my. I mean, some of these I have.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Chronological order them from the last one's my most recent boyfriend that I still have, and then 2 of them are ex-boyfriends.
Okay, so what examples are you gonna give us here?
All right, so look, let's see. So in this chart, the strongest aspect, in Synastry, exact aspects are the ones that color the relationship the most. So even though you can have a trine, if it has any kind of orb of influence, it's less powerful. The ones that are exact, like if, for example, you have lots of trines, but the only thing that's exact is lots of squares, there's probably more conflict in that relationship than meets the eye. So in this case, that's exactly what happened. So it may appear that there's lots of trines because we have we have Pisces. So my Pisces sun is at a degree that's almost Aquarius, and this person is a Gemini. So it's like a Pisces Cancer, but it's really Gemini. Yeah. Because of the degrees. But there's no orb of influence. The orb of influence is Mars square Pluto. My dominant planet, squaring their stellium of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter.
Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. Wow.
All in.
That's intense. That's with your current boyfriend?
No, my ex-boyfriend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that must have been a very rough, intense relationship.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
Don't date medical students.
Yeah, so for sure, watch out for squares. So if you're doing a synastry, especially between like Mars, Pluto, any planets squaring Mars and Pluto.
Moon and okay, for example, like, so like I think it serves to really quickly kind of explain what each planet means a little bit. So like the sun is like your expression of yourself. It's the ego. The moon is your inner self. It's your feelings. It's your sense of security. Mercury is how you communicate. Venus is how you like love, how you react to friendships and relate to others. Mars is how you express yourself and how you assert your will, how you get what you want. And then Jupiter is kind of like your attitudes, your expansiveness, your drive, your beliefs. And then Saturn is kind of like the restriction. Yeah. But it also it means commitment.
Commitment, longevity.
And normally I don't like contacts to Saturn.
Saturn requires work.
Right here, it means commitment. Yeah. It's great. Contacts to Saturn are beautiful.
Especially the trines.
Oh, look how funny. This one actually, look at this. His moon is trining my Uranus. You would have thought that would have added to...
Yeah, in some way, because if you have a lot of squares, I would think that moon Uranus trine just gives it that little excitement that kept it going, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, the excitement.
And then we have one. This one's interesting because we broke up during the Venus Virgo retrograde.
Virgo?
Yeah, when Venus was in Virgo in 2018, it retrograded.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It was so fun. Actually, I mean, it was great. It was actually really funny. So this one has a lot of oppositions. And so this person cares a lot about their image, and their 10th house opposes a bunch of my stuff, and your public image. Opposing a bunch of my personal planets means I'm bad for your public image, and you don't want me. And that's literally what happened, yeah.
I see. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was funny. Sometimes they kind of paint the color. Like there's this married couple. I have them here as Cleopatra and Caesar. They've been married since the 70s.
Wow.
And so their synastry, they actually are...
So two people that have been married since the 70s. What transits there show longevity for them?
The moon.
These people been married
Saturn.
for like, what's that, 40 years? 50 years?
50 years, yeah. They've been married for like 54 years almost.
Okay, wow. That's nice.
Funny enough, they have a fair amount of squares, but they just, I guess, they work them. But they have the right kind of oppositions because it's like Mercury opposing Uranus. They're planets that create feelings of belonging. Because sometimes oppositions, they're not necessarily as tension creating. They could, depending on what house's axis they're in, they kind of just create like oh, you're my twin. We're sisters. We're kindred spirits. Yeah. They actually, their moons trine.
That keeps them together. That makes them feel good around each other. Yeah, that creates longevity.
That definitely helps. Although that feels good. Uranus is... Oh, look, Uranus and Venus are in a strong trine. It's exact.
Nice. Together
So
with
they're
that
able to
moon.
weather all of their tests together.
Yeah.
Neptune is trining the sun.
Neptune is trining the sun.
Mercury is opposing Uranus. That doesn't necessarily indicate longevity. Although the way that they follow the fundamentals is because you just don't... The aspects are only like a little bit of the picture. You have to look at what houses they're in.
Yeah.
His Venus and his Mars are in our 7th house.
Oh,
That right there is like...
Yeah. So you said they have a lot of squares, but they also have like
The
those
planets
moon
are all
trines.
in the fundamental
It's
places.
like they might have had issues, but they've always been able to talk through them.
Exactly.
Yeah, and work it out.
Exactly.
Especially that moon trine's really holding them together, and that Venus trine Uranus and that Mercury opposed Uranus really helps them talk through things.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Is there anything aspecting their Saturns?
Yes, there is Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, and the Sun. His Saturn sextiles her Sun. When a man's Saturn aspects your Sun, it's the astrological equivalent. If you like it, then he's going to put a ring on it.
Okay, so Sun Saturn
Aspects.
aspects
Like
indicate possible marriage situations.
Yeah, like the positive ones trine.
And
maybe
sextiles.
opposition and sextile, yeah.
Very nice. And conjunctions, I would say for sure.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Although sometimes with conjunctions, it can go the exact opposite way because it's a conjunction.
Mm.
And it's so intense that you're too similar.
Well, yeah, because, like, I don't know in Synastry how it would work, but like in regular, quote unquote, regular astrology, when a planet is conjunct the sun, that means that planet's on the opposite side of the sun from our perspective. So even though it's a Sun-Saturn conjunction, that means they're like on the opposite side of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it can create definitely.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. But what I found really interesting is a lot of people that I know that are either like engaged to be married, and that haven't yet done their big break of divorce yet. Because I actually want to like look into the people that got divorced and see that synastry, what goes on there. Because the good could literally just have bad synastry and just two people that want to work together. And maybe it's just like what aspects force people to not want to work together. Like they don't have Mars square Pluto.
I've been, my last relationship had a lot of squares in it. Yeah. It was very rough. It was very passionate, very intense, but it was very rough. And the major things were Mars square Pluto and Saturn square Jupiter. And I realized and I described that as like this constant tug and pull. Yeah. Like when one person's pulling away, the other one's like...
It doesn't sound like fun.
It doesn't sound like fun because it was always like tug and pull. We would never meet halfway. Yeah. So like, and on top of that, the Pluto Mars square, that just like fireworks all the time.
Anything to be learned from this, it's do not look into Mars square Pluto.
Yeah, Mars squares Pluto. For sure, I would say is one of the worst.
If you're part of the Scorpio
transits
Pluto
to have
Federation,
between two people.
You got to be careful with the Leo and the Aquarius Pluto people, Mars people.
Leo and Mars.
If you have a Scorpio Pluto, then Leo and Aquarius square you, so it will be a Leo Mars or an Aquarius Mars. I almost have Pluto square Mars as a natal aspect, and that would have made me more naturally attracted to that kind of conflict. But since I don't have, it's not within that orb.
I'm just sorry. I'm just kind of realizing. I guess I have a loose Mars Pluto square.
Yeah, so maybe
in my natal chart.
So maybe for you that just means like you just like more tension type energy.
Let me see here. I mean. Mars square Pluto. It's medium strength because it's like 3 degrees off. Mars in 20 Aquarius. Yes, I guess I'm.
Yeah, because we have the same Mars sign. Your Aquarius Mars, and I'm just in a.
I'm at 20, and my Jupiter, my Pluto is conjunct Lilith at 17 Scorpio.
Come on. My Lilith is in.
I'm like a very passionately detached person.
Well, I have Lilith in Aries. I'm a brat, and I know.
I guess.
I know it. I'm a brat and I know it.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, synastry is a super interesting.
There's just like so much
aspect
to it. I feel like we could have sat here for an hour and just talked about
for
synastry
a million hours. Yeah, and talk about different transits.
And like gone through every relationship.
So just to go over, it's 8 already. I don't want to keep you here much longer. So just kind of like rounding up.
Of course.
Good transits in Synastry, which is compatibility astrology between people. It's mostly relationships.
Yeah.
You want to look out for trines and sextiles. Those are good ones. And then squares on oppositions are usually the rougher ones. And when it comes to the good ones, Moon and Venus trines.
Conjunctions of the sun to any kind of expression of Mars or Venus creates a feeling of like how you love is how I act, so it's great. It's a great feeling of understanding. That's why in Synastry, those planets in the first house really, even though you wouldn't think because it's the assertion of the self, but they really set the point home because they create that feeling of, oh, I can be myself with you.
Nice. Yeah, so any planet in your first house that is
their
first.
No, any of their planets in your first house creates that whatever that planet is just how you act. So it just creates that feeling of you're looking for it. Or the inverse, any of your planets in their first house or in their fifth house or their seventh or their eighth. Those
are really good aspects.
Those are the even
really
if they're
transits.
squaring, the fact that they're in there indicates more strength for the relationship.
Very nice. Nice.
But it's just like a multi-layered process because you also have to go into like the individual's traumas,
Yeah, the human factor really comes into play. It
really messes with Synastry a little bit.
So
although, did I tell you about the Swedish study that they did?
The what?
They did a Swedish study on like divorce and astrology.
Okay.
So it was kind of a little bit of it was people that don't really practice astrology, just using sun sign compatibility. Although to be fair to them, getting the Synastry from divorce records without a birth time is
impossible.
It sucks, yeah.
Yeah, it's super general.
But essentially what they found is that there's a 4% decrease in divorce, and that's statistically significant based on sun sign compatibility in Sweden. What that says is that in a population like Sweden where no one cares about astrology significantly, I'm sure there's people in Sweden that like astrology, but it's a very
Scandinavian
society.
country, yeah.
So, but divorce goes down 4% when the sun signs are compatible. That means that, and that's just that.
That's
I
just
told
the
you,
sun.
That's literally just. Would you invite them to a picnic?
Yeah.
Type of energy. So imagine if they looked into contacts to the moon and Venus and Mars.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Super interesting. I mean, I love Synastry. I'm always looking when I meet people. I'm always comparing charts with them on the spot.
Me too. When I met my boyfriend, I did our Synastry too. But when I meet people, I always look up like their charts to see they legit I'll have a conversation when I would be on Tinder and I would talk to a guy and be like, hey, what time were you born? I'd look up their planets and if I didn't like them, I would just block them.
That's funny.
Because I was like, why would I waste
my
time?
It makes sense. Once you have this awareness about Synastry and astrology, you already know where things are gonna go without having gone through them.
Yeah, you kind of get a picture. Like maybe you want to just test it for yourself. Sometimes that just happens. Curiosity kills the cat.
Yeah, or looking back at old relationships. Especially if you're learning Synastry and learning how to read compatibility
Your old
charts.
Relationships are a great source to learn.
Learn Synastry, yeah, for sure. So definitely things to stay away from.
Squares.
Mars Pluto squares.
If there's anything to learn from today, do not mess with anyone when you're in Mars squares their Pluto or vice versa.
At least in a deep romantic relationship, which will be difficult because there's a lot of magnetism and attraction there.
Although if you happen to murder your spouse, I wouldn't mind representing you in court.
Especially if you have Mars square Pluto. How do you refer to the judge? Your Honor. Your Honor. These people had Mars square Pluto.
I can't help it.
Couldn't help it. This was meant to happen.
What is it called? Irresistible impulse. Although that's a defense in tort. That's not a criminal defense. Please do not use
Imagine
that
if someday in court
like
astrology plays a role.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Your Honor, I want to move my client's sentencing to when Saturn is trining Mercury because I want them to get good news.
That's funny. Amazing. Wow, this was really great. We've been at it for almost 2 hours.
Wow.
It goes
That's
super
quite
great.
a while. It does. It hasn't felt like 2 hours at all.
Yeah, and we could be here for a gazillion hours. Well, Shannon,
it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
I feel like we just spewed so much information.
We did.
I felt like rapid fire, but it was really good.
Style.
I'm gonna make some highlights out of this. Hopefully in the next couple of days, so we can have it out for all of November.
Nice.
at least some stuff, some nice clips, and it was great. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna be back here again.
Hopefully so.
Yes, for
if
sure.
they'll have me.
Yeah, I would love to do this more often. I want to invite other astrologers, and
have like a
I'm gonna talk to a couple of
different-
friends, and maybe next time we can sit all three of us here and
Sounds good.
talk some good astrology
I
stuff.
love that.
Thank you
I'm
so
here
much.
for it.
This was great.
This was a pleasure.
We'll see you guys on the next one. I hope we all
Take
enjoyed
care,
it.
guys.
Yeah, we had a lot of people come through.
Did we?
Bye bye. Peace out. Yeah, about 44 playbacks.
Oh wow.
Night night, guys. Thank you for
Night,
tuning
good
in.
night, Emily.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.